Every single person in my family told me to stop forgiving him, stop enabling him, and guys, I'm happy to say I stopped. But it took 8 years and 2 arrests before I stopped forgiving him, but I survived and I'm here to tell you my story. I have every single update of the nightmare that I walked through, our son Marcus and what he went through, and how he had to go to a special type of therapy just so he could speak with images and his hands instead of using words because he wasn't talking. That's the worst of it. All the holes in the apartment walls patched up. I no longer live there. I live on my own in my brand new apartment that I got from a job that I just got. And you know what? I think anybody can do it, so let me tell you what I went through. I've been debating whether to write this for months. Every time I start typing, I delete it, but I keep seeing posts from people in situations like mine. And maybe, if I'd read something like this 5 years ago, I would have left sooner. So here it goes. 8 years, that's how long I spent loving a man who existed in 2 versions. The sober one I fell in love with, and the drunk one who destroyed everything that we built. If you're reading this thinking, why didn't she just leave? Please understand that leaving is not a single decision. It's 1,000 small battles against your own hope. So, Toby and I met when we were both 24. I was a single mother to my daughter Emma, which was 3 years old then, working retail, living paycheck to paycheck in a crappy apartment with neighbors who smoked marijuana so strong it seeped through the walls. He was this gentle giant, 6'2", soft-spoken, worked construction, and had these hands that could build anything but touch me like I was made of glass. So, our first date. It was a diner, because that's all either of us could afford. He made Emma laugh with silly faces and did not flinch when she spilled chocolate milk all over his nice little shirt. When he kissed me goodnight, he tasted like coffee and possibility. We moved in together after a year, not because we were ready, but because combining rent just meant that we could afford a 2-bedroom in a better school district. That's what you do when you're young and broke and in love. You make practical decisions and call it romantic. The drinking was not a problem at first, or maybe it was, I just didn't want to see it. Weekend drinking became nightly drinking, became I need a drink to decompress, became why are you counting my empty cans like you're my mother? But here's the thing about dating an alcoholic. They're not drunk all the time, and most of the time Toby was wonderful. He taught Emma to ride a bike, running behind her for hours in the parking lot. He would leave me little notes in my lunchbox, and he would fix things for our elderly neighbor without being asked. When I got pregnant with our son, he cried happy tears and built a crib from scratch, because our boy deserved something made with love. Well, sober Toby was the man that I wanted to marry. Drunk Toby was a stranger wearing his face. The first time he got physical, he shoved me during an argument about money. Not hard enough to leave a mark, just enough to make me step back. He apologized for 3 days straight, flowers, tears, promises even. I forgave him because it was just a shove and he was stressed about work. If you're reading this and making excuses for your partner just to shove, please know that's how it starts, always. The pattern emerged slowly, like mold you don't notice until it's everywhere. He would drink, we would fight, something would break, a plate, a promise, eventually my ribs. Well, then came the apologies, the therapy promises, the 2-week stretches of sobriety that felt like glimpses of heaven. I became an expert at reading his breath, his particular glaze in his eyes that meant that I should take the kids to my dad's for the night. My father lived next door by then. We would help him get the apartment when his landlord raised the rent. I want to be close to my grandbabies, he would say. But I think he knew. Parents always know, even when you're wearing long sleeves in summer and claiming you're just clumsy. So, our 8th anniversary. Number 8. I need you to understand that I'd been planning to leave. I'd been squirreling money away, had looked at apartments and a bag packed in my truck, but that morning, Toby was sober and sweet. He made breakfast, told me he planned something special for that night, and Emma was at a friend's house. Our son Marcus was with my dad. Maybe, I thought, maybe, he's really changing this time. I came home to candles everywhere. The table set with our good dishes, the ones that we got from Goodwill but treated like fine china. Well, they were actually pretty nice. Anyways, he would cook my favorite meal, wear the shirt that I bought him for Christmas. For a moment, standing in that doorway, I could see it, the life that we were supposed to have. Then I saw the empty wine bottle on the counter and saw the light little sway when he walked towards me.
8 years. 8 beautiful years.
He dropped to one knee, pulled out a ring box, not a real ring, we couldn't afford that, but a promise ring. The kind teenagers give each other from the 25-cent machine. The gesture might have been sweet if his eyes could focus.
Marry me. Make it official.
Toby, not like this. Let's talk about it tomorrow. His face changed. If you've lived with an angry drunk, you know this moment. It's like watching storm clouds form and fast forward.
Oh, you never say yes. 8 years and you never say yes to anything. You always have to make me feel like crap.
That's not what I would—
Shut up!
The candle went first, thrown against the wall, then the plates, and one by one, while I backed toward the door. He punched a hole in the wall next to my head, close enough that drywall dust settled in my hair and I could breathe in the toxic fumes. I ran for the bedroom to get my phone, and he followed, grabbing my wrist hard enough to leave a fingerprint.
You're not calling anyone.
That's what he said, and that's when I knew this was different. This was the night that I've been afraid of, terrified of for years. I screamed loud enough that my father heard through the walls, loud enough that Marcus woke up crying in his room, and loud enough that the neighbors called emergency before my dad even made it to the door. So, what happened next is a blur of sensory memory. My dad's voice, steady and dangerous.
Let her go, Toby. Right now.
The sound of Marcus crying, blue and red lights splashing through the windowsill, and Toby calling me, I'm not even going to say the words, as they cuffed him and put him inside the police car. An EMT was shining lights in my eyes, checking my wrist, asking if there was anything that hurts. I said, yeah, everywhere. Everything hurts. They took pictures of my wrist, the hole in the wall, the broken dishes. A female officer sat with me while I gave my statement, with her voice gentle but her eyes hard with recognition. She'd seen this before. She'd see it again tomorrow with somebody else down the street, maybe.
Do you have somewhere you can stay safe?
I laughed a sharp and bitter laugh, and I said I live next door to my father. If that's not safe enough, well, I guess nowhere is. Toby spent the night in jail, and I spent it cleaning up glass and wondering how I would explain this to my kid. Emma is now 11 and too smart for comfortable lies, and Marcus, he's only 4, but that's old enough to remember Daddy being taken away in a police car and that image being seared into his young brain. But here's the messed up part, the most messed up part about this whole situation. I still went to my job interview the next morning. I'd been trying to get this administration position at a medical office for months, better pay, regular hours, actual benefits. I could not afford to miss it because my life had exploded. So I covered the bruises on my wrist with concealer and carefully chose cardigans and practiced my smile in the mirror until it looked real.
And I pretended I was a normal person,
interviewing for a normal job and not someone whose partner had been arrested just 12 hours ago.
You seem very composed under pressure,
the interviewer said to me. I almost laughed. Lady, you have no idea. So, I got the job. Found out the same afternoon that DSS was opening a case because Marcus had been in the same home during a domestic violence incident. The social worker was kind but very clear. Toby cannot have unsupervised contact with Marcus, and I was granted emergency temporary sole custody. If I allowed Toby near the kids without supervision, I could lose them. I said, I understand. I signed the papers with a hand that would not stop shaking. It looked like I had 8 cups of coffee. The strong kind. That should have been the end. Clear-cut consequences. Legal intervention, a literal government agency saying this man cannot be around your kin. But if leaving abusive relationships was logical, then nobody would be in one. Because here's what they don't really get to tell you about. About leaving. You don't just grieve the relationship, you grieve the person you thought they were, what could have been, the future you imagined, the family you tried to build, and now you're too old to start. You grieve the good moments and there were good moments. That's what's the worst part about it all. Sober Toby had taught Marcus to count using Cheerios, but drunk Toby had put his fist through a wall next to my head. Sober Toby had held my hair when morning sickness hit with Marcus, and drunk Toby had called me fat, useless, slob when I was 8 months pregnant. I could keep going, but it's making me sick to my stomach. 2 people in one body, and I was only allowed to love one of them. My therapist, because, everybody has one of those these days, was court-mandated to me. I don't necessarily believe in therapists, but when it's court-mandated, you just take it. Well, thank goodness, because I never would have gotten myself one. Explaining to myself, you're trauma-bonded. Your brain is literally addicted to the cycle of abuse and reconciliation. You're going to go through withdrawal from the chaos. Well, she was actually right. The first month without him was hell, but not because I was sad, because I was bored. Nobody was yelling, nothing was breaking, and I didn't have to check breathing patterns or hide the good knives or sleeping with my keys in my hand. The absence of danger felt dangerous itself. That's your nervous system recalibrating, is what she would tell me. It doesn't know how to act when you don't have an active threat on your head. I joined a support group called Safe Harbor. 12 women sitting in a circle in a church basement telling the same story with different names. The women next to me had been married to her abuser for 30 years. Yeah. The woman across from me was 19 years of age and she was pregnant. Yeah. Pregnant as can be. We were all different ages, races, economic backgrounds, but we all knew the same thing. What it sounds like when somebody punches drywall. How to apply makeup to fingerprints, the particular shame of loving someone who hurt you. You'll miss him, the group said. You'll miss the good version. It's normal. It doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. And I think she was right because I missed him every day. Missed the weight of him in bed, the way he hummed in the shower, his laugh at stupid comedy shows, and I even missed arguing with him because at least that meant he was there to argue with. The apartment felt too big without his rage filling it up. And then he called me from jail. I shouldn't have answered it. I knew I shouldn't have answered it, but his mother had been texting me that he was sick with worry and doesn't even remember what happened, and you know how sorry he is. So I answered, Baby, what did I do? I woke up here and they said I hurt you. I would never hurt you, you know that. The gaslight was so bright I could have read by it. I hung up, blocked his number, blocked his ma's number, blocked every flying monkey who tried to convince me that, quote, he's not himself when he drinks, as if that's an excuse instead of an entire problem. But addiction is cunning, and I don't just mean his. 3 months later, after he completed court-mandated rehab, after he wrote me a letter full of 12-step apologies and promises, after his therapist called to say he was making real progress, I answered the phone again. He said, I'm sober, 67 days. I go to meetings every day, I got a sponsor, I'm different now. The thing about loving an addict is you become optimistic against all the evidence. You think this time, this rock bottom and this intervention will be the one that sticks. So when he asked to meet for coffee in public during daylight just to talk, I said yes. He looked different. Thin, healthier, clear-eyed, his hand shook a little from what I later learned was post-acute withdrawal syndrome, but they were steady when he held his coffee cup. I'm not asking you to take me back, I'm just asking for a chance to prove I changed. To be a father to Marcus, to show you I can be the man you deserve. Guys, I fell for it. Not immediately. I made him work for it, see. Supervised visits, of course, with Marcus at first, always in public, always with my dad there. Then dinner, just the two of us, once a week. Then he was helping to fix my car. Then he was staying for Marcus's bedtime routine. Then he was just staying, period. For 8 months at work, he went to meetings, called his sponsor, did the work. He was present in a way that he's never been before. Helped Emma with her homework without being asked, and taught Marcus to tie his shoes with infinite patience, and even got a better job, contributed to the bills, and acted like a partner instead of another child I had to manage. I started to believe, not in him per se, but in the possibility of change and redemption and the family we could still maybe be. My friend thought that I lost my mind. The woman at Safe Harbor looked at me with pity and recognition. They'd all been there or would have been there. My dad stopped speaking to me for 2 weeks and showed up with a deadbolt for my bedroom door just in case. I'm not stupid, I told him. I'm watching for the signs. The signs were him getting arrested for domestic violence, my dad said. What more of a sign do you possibly need? I don't know. I needed to believe people could change, that love could conquer the addiction, that my children could have their father, that I had not wasted 8 years of my life. The relapse started small. A beer at his brother's BBQ. Everyone else is drinking. It's weird if I don't have one. Then just a 6-pack in the fridge. Oh, I can control it now. I know the limit. Then empty bottles hidden in the garage. Then not hidden. I watched it happen in real time, like watching a car accident in slow motion. You see it coming, but you don't stop it, because you can't. The night it all ended for good started like the last time. I came home from work to find him drunk, but this time Marcus was there, sitting on the couch watching cartoons while his father swayed in the kitchen trying to make dinner. Go to your room. Take the iPad. But Daddy said, room now. So Marcus went. He learned to recognize the voice I used when things were about to get bad. I said, you're drunk, Toby. Not a question.
Oh, baby, I'm celebrating. Got a raise today. Can't a man celebrate?
Well, no, not when you're an alcoholic. Not when you have a family depending on you to stay sober. Not when... And I didn't even finish my sentence before he threw the pan. Not at me this time, exactly, but close enough that hot oil splattered on my arm. I ran from my bedroom where Marcus was and locked the door, and I called the law.
I said he's drunk again and he's throwing stuff.
I said as calm as I could to the operator myself. I said, yes, there's a history. Yes, there's an active restraining order from the previous incident, and yes, we're safe in a locked room. I listened to him destroy my kitchen while we waited for the police, and Marcus curled into my side. Not crying, just quiet. He learned to not cry when Daddy was like this. That realization broke something in me that's never really healed right. They arrested him again. This time his mother didn't call, this time I didn't feel guilty, and this time when the prosecutor asked if I want to press charges, I pretty much said, yeah, without hesitation. I'm done. I told my therapist this time I'm just done. She said, what's different this time? I'm not trying to save him anymore, I'm trying to save us, and guys, get this. That was a year ago. Toby took a plea deal, probation, mandatory, AA, anger management, of course, no contact order. He's not allowed within 500 meters of me or the kids. His parents see Marcus once a month at a supervised visitation center, and they send a picture. Marcus smiles at them, but it's his camera smile, not his real one. I got the job at the medical office. We moved to a better apartment, one where the walls don't have fish-shaped patches. Emma's in therapy, working through what it means to watch your mother choose a man who hurt her, then choose him again, then finally choose herself, and Marcus is in, play therapy? It's learning to express his big feelings without using words, and I'm just in therapy still. Still going to Safe Harbor. Still learning to exist without the chaos, and some days I catch myself missing the adrenaline, the intensity, the toxic cocktail of fear and love
that kept me high for 8 years.
My therapist says it's normal. My brain is still rewiring, still learning that love does not require, pain as a payment. I went on a date last week, a nice, boring accountant who asked me for coffee and didn't show up drunk. When he texted to confirm, I had a panic attack because his tone seemed off. That's the residue abuse leaves. You question everything, read danger and kindness, and wait for the other shoe to drop so long that you notice you're both wearing shoes already. But here's what I want you to know if you're reading this from the inside of the cycle. It's not your fault they drink. It's not your fault that they get rage, that you can't love them sober. No, you can't save them from themselves, and that good version that you're holding on to, that's who they could be, not who they are. The night my father ran through that door to save me, he said something I'll never forget. He won't stop until you stop forgiving. Well, guys, I forgave 7 years and 11 months too long, and I forgave until forgiveness became enabling, and I forgave until my children learned that love looks like a broken dish and apologies. I forgave until I almost became a statistic. But I'm not a statistic, I'm a survivor. My kids are survivors, and we're a family full of survivors who eat dinner at a table without any fear, and who can drop dishes without flinching, who know that love is not supposed to hurt. Yeah, I heard Toby's doing better now, from what I hear. Still sober, still working the program. His sponsor reached out to make amends on his behalf because he's not allowed to contact me. I wished him well but declined to participate, and his recovery is his journey. Mine is separate, okay? Sometimes I do drive past the old apartment, the one with the patched walls and the broken family dream. New people live there now. I saw them outside yesterday. They planted flowers in the window box we never got around to filling. It looks like a home where happy people live, and I hope they are. My story is not unique. That's the scary part. Scroll through this entire website and you'll find 100 versions of it. Different names, same cycle, but I'm sharing it because somebody needs to hear that leaving is possible, and I'm here. That staying gone is possible, that you can love someone with your whole heart and still choose yourself. Then never, ever, ever go back to it. Guys, what a powerful, insane story. I do want to read these 2 comments because, believe it or not, there were still people out there who were against OP or just disagreed how she handled the situation. Let's start with the comment that is positive. Comment number 1, it says, "This post should be required reading for anyone who doesn't understand why people stay in abusive relationships." See, OP, she literally explained the psychological trap perfectly. The detail about her son learning not to cry during his father's rage is heartbreaking and shows exactly how generational trauma can get passed down. She tried everything. Therapy, supervised visits, giving him chance after chance when he got sober, and people calling her stupid for going back don't understand that abuse literally rewires your brain chemistry. This has been proven, okay? The fact that she covered herself and her bruises with makeup to go to a job interview the morning after he was arrested shows the impossible position that she was in. You still have to survive financially while your life is falling apart. And by the way, her father, living next door and having to repeatedly save her, make this even more tragic, because she had support and still could not leave until she was ready. When she said, "I was addicted to chaos, and her nervous system did not know how to exist without threat," well, that's textbook trauma response that takes years of therapy to overcome. The sober version being wonderful is exactly why these situations are so insidious. You're not leaving a monster, you're leaving someone you love who became a monster. OP going to safe harbor meetings and hearing the same story with different names shows this is an epidemic. Guys, that was comment number 1. Let's jump into the comment that a lot of people say is not a good comment because this one disagrees with how OP handled it. Are you ready? It says, "While I sympathize with OP's trauma, she had countless opportunities to just leave and repeatedly chose to endanger her children, Marcus particularly, who has witnessed severe domestic violence during crucial development years. She admits her father lives right next door. She had a support system. The court even gave her sole custody and DSS. Literally told her Toby could not be near the kids. Yet she still took him back after 3 months? Are you kidding me? The fact that she went to a job interview covered in bruises instead of immediately focusing on getting her kids into therapy shows misplaced priorities at its best. She knew he was an alcoholic with violent tendencies, but had another child with him anyways, bringing an innocent life into a dangerous situation. See, Emma had to watch her mother choose an abusive man over their safety over and over and over again, which probably caused more damage than OP realizes. And when she says she was addicted to chaos, yeah, that's an explanation, not an excuse for exposing children to an abusive alcoholic for 8 years. Wow. Her dad had to repeatedly rescue her while she kept going back. Imagine his trauma, watching his daughter choose this man. The supervised visit should have been the end of it, but she let him move back in because he was sober for a few weeks. Spare me the heartbreak. You brought this upon yourself. Guys, I could see how some people could agree with some parts of that, but I think it's a mix of comment 1 and comment 2. Yeah, she probably should never have taken him back, but she was in love. Love makes you do strange things, even ignore all the stuff that she was put through. Guys, let me know if you have any sort of advice that you could give OP. What would you say? Drop it in the comment section down below. And as always, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day. And of course, remember, in this cruel world, it's cool to be kind. Peace.